All right, we got to see some Terrion Arnold footage here for the Detroit Lions, the player they spent the first round selection on, a player a lot of people liked at the corner position, and for good reason. So we're going to talk about what he did in this game. A lot of it is less about like, oh my god, look at this play, or like, oh my god, look at this play in a bad way, and more so about, I think, maybe some tells into how he's going to play at the NFL level. More stylistic kind of stuff as opposed to just like talent level stuff. We kind of know his talent level, but I think there's still some interesting tidbits that we learned from this preseason game. So first, let's just start off with something like this. Also, I should just mention real quick, I do have a movie channel. If that seems like your kind of thing, search Jackson Kruger Movies or check out the link in the description below. Yeah, that's available there. But anyway, back to the film. So it's going to be a one-on-one matchup here against Jalen Hyatt. Sometimes you don't get, a ton here, but I think still some interesting little tidbits. Like the way this works is it's just a slant route. And when this play begins, Drew Lock is looking elsewhere right here. So, okay, that's the way this play is supposed to work. But looking at Arnold and Hyatt, you see that Arnold is sticking his left arm out, right? Trying to create some contact. And you're going to see Hyatt attempt to knock the arm away. And in fact, Hyatt does a pretty good job at that. He does knock Arnold's arm away. But if you're a Lions fan, you're still fine with this situation. I mean, Arnold is sticking with Hyatt, and if the ball went in this direction, okay, a good throw and a good catch, you can get a completion, but you can say that on basically every single throw. You would need a really good throw and a really good catch here. If this was Drew Lock's route, I don't know if I would recommend him throwing it in this direction, and, Lock is throwing it elsewhere to a place that's even less open, so I don't know, maybe you do throw it here, but still, to me, this is a good play from Arnold. Hyatt kind of pulls off at the end there, kind of right as I was pausing it is when he started pulling off, but I think that even if he kept going over the middle, that to me, I don't think was going to go for too much. So again, like I said, a small thing here. I think there's some bigger takeaways I had with his game, sometimes not in positive ways. For example, something like this, where the way this is going to work is it's going to be a zone coverage concept. This is a cover 2 zone. It doesn't look that way when you see them lined up, but Arnold is going to drop back, a safety is going to drop back, so it's going to end up turning into a cover 2 zone. So for Arnold, if you're playing the flat in a cover 2 zone, typically what they say is they want you to kind of cover 5 to 15 yards down the field. That's usually where you want to be. However, watch what he does here. When this play begins, you see how the receiver he's covering goes for more of an, outside, gets kind of the outside leverage right here, and Arnold is letting him go, I think, a little bit too early. I would like to see Arnold kind of stay a little bit further back and keep up with him a little bit. This is something you see young corners do. A lot of it is, you're in a new scheme, right? Like, these things do happen, and just, I think, quite frankly, NFL players are faster, and maybe you usually get into your spot, you have more time than you do at the NFL level, so this is something that I do wonder if, you see the coaching staff look at this on tape in practice and say, hey, let's make sure we're getting back there, because that receiver would have been open had Locke been looking in that direction. Locke had really put on a masterclass at looking at the guys who weren't open in this game. Really well done by him, but had he been looking this direction, it could have been bad news. As I mentioned, instead, Locke decides to scramble and actually picks up some yards, but still, it's just one of those things to pay attention to, and this is why I like having your young players play in the preseason. They can make the mistakes now instead of make the mistakes when they're in the, regular season when these games actually start to matter. Also, this next play is interesting. I don't think it's really a bad or a good thing. It's just kind of something to note. So this is a different situation. It's still zone coverage, but now it's a single safety deep concept. So you have Arnold as the corner to the offense's left, so that's what he's supposed to be doing right here. You kind of see the area where he's supposed to cover, really isolated against the Giants receiver, and let's see what happens. This Giants receiver is going to take off down the field, and you see Arnold is bailing pretty quickly. I do wonder if that's something you're going to just see Arnold do, is he might just be someone who kind of bails a little bit quicker, and that's not... To me, that's kind of what he did in college, not to this extent. Part of me wonders if just NFL players are faster, as I mentioned. He wasn't the fastest corner. I mean, he ran a 4.5 40, which is kind of right at that cutoff that you want before it starts to become an issue. So you can make a 4.5 work, but usually you don't want to be much slower than that. And one of the ways you make it work is by bailing. So to me, this is, I would say, you could argue good or bad. I would say this is good. I would say this is him understanding what's maybe not his strength and adjusting accordingly. I would say this is good. They both run off screen, so who knows? Maybe they got wide open, maybe they didn't. But again, stylistically, I think that we can kind of learn something from it. But this play I thought was really fascinating, and this is kind of the biggest takeaway of the video, perhaps, so hopefully not too many people have clicked off by this point, because I think it's interesting, where it's going to be a man coverage concept for the Detroit Lions that are playing man here on 3rd down and 9, and for the Lions, a lot of what they did last year was they tried to play 2 safeties deep as much as possible. That's very much what they tried to do. So it's already interesting seeing them play a lot of single safety deep concepts in preseason. I would imagine it's just kind of a way to, a litmus test to see how their corners can match up in this scenario. But what I found really interesting about this play was, so you had Arnold covering Malik Neighbors on this man coverage concept, but with Malik Neighbors going to the slot, Arnold is covering him in the slot. That's really unique to me because I'm not sure if I expected the Lions to do that. And it's not Neighbors, was in motion and Arnold followed him. Like, this is just how he lined up. So, this is what they were doing. They were going to put him on Neighbors on this play. You see the route Neighbors is running. And so when this play begins, you're going to see Locke takes the snap. He looks over, and really Arnold is all over this. I mean, Neighbors, who has that acceleration, and you would think, okay, someone with great speed versus Arnold, who maybe isn't the fastest, could this be a mismatch? Well, here it's not really mattering too much. Again, Locke could make a throw, and you could probably get a completion here, but it's a 3rd down and 9. You're not getting to 9 yards. This is really good stuff from Arnold. So instead, Locke is going to do the smart thing by throwing it directly to a different Lions player, so that's always good. But again, not great Drew Lock footage here, gotta say. But for Arnold, I think it was pretty good stuff. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting Terrion Arnold game. Again, it's the first preseason game. You're just not going to get that much, right? You're not going to get that much of, sample size. But we got a decent amount of sample size. And again, it's also broadcast footage. You can only do so much. But I do think that I saw some interesting things from him. My biggest takeaways are, again, more stylistic with how I think some of the stuff will go. I do think we could see him be more, maybe, I think it's possible they'll treat him as a number 1 receiver. They'll put him on top, number 1 corner. I think they'll put him on top receivers and things like that. I could easily see that happening. I think that him seemingly having an awareness of the fact that he isn't the fastest corner is good for me. Like I said, is going to have to pay attention to the zone coverage stuff. Is going to have to be a little bit more aware of in that aspect, or things could become an issue. But I do trust the Lions will be able to figure that out. So yeah, as a whole, I think a solid performance from Arnold. I think that if you felt good about him going into tonight, there's certainly no reason to feel bad about him, and at the very least, I think you might feel even a little better about certain things. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.